I'm Harrison Underwood. I have my own legal ops company, which is called Brickell Global. When we first started doing this, we had to fight the conversation about the need for this, and today we don't. Like, as we became from GC to CLO, law officer is, adherent to the board and adherent to the bottom line now as much as they ever have been in history. So, there's a story I heard one time of a GC. She came in and she took over a big corporate law department, and she went to her first board meeting, and everybody was sitting around the table with paper. Paper is data. She had no paper, and when it got to her, she had no answers. And she walked out of that meeting and told her folks, I will have paper at the next meeting. And she was saying is, I need data. I need to know what we're doing and what we're spending our money on, and where that workload balance is going, and all of those kind of facts and metrics that are necessary to make business decisions. And that, more than anything, is the job of the CLO now, is to run the legal department as a business, one that the old days of handing somebody $50 million and saying, go off and do your thing, it doesn't exist anymore. They have to really show value just as much as any other portion of the organization. So. Yeah, so I had a very large automaker client in Detroit who decided to bring in-house most of their lawyers. They hired 600 lawyers to come in-house versus using outside counsel as much as they did. And it really came from the data, the amount of money that was being spent, the quality of work that they were getting, rates were going up, and the value that came from the data was enough to convince the president of the company to hire 600 attorneys and bring them in-house and create an in-house function. That was all part of better management, part of spend management. They had 20 years of data in those systems that we had to come in and get out and produce reports to show them where the value was. We spend a lot of time building outside counsel management programs using these data points that we collect now, both from the matter management system and the interactions we have with them, the results that come out of the cases that we send out to outside counsel management, as well as the spend. And being able to build programs where we have preferred provider programs in different areas of the country or in different areas of the world, that different portions of the law department can outsource to different resources rather than always just picking a top-tier New York firm all the time. That is not cost-effective anymore. Maybe there are situations where we have reputational matters or bet the company matters where you do go to those, you spend your money. But we want to be able to know that, and know when we need to do that, and know when we don't need to do that. And, does a New York law firm need to do all your IP work? Maybe not, probably not. It's so reputational and standard stuff, you might be able to farm that out to a secondary market and get some value out of that. So all of that is in the data, and so we have to go in and mine it. And if you don't have systems in place, if you don't have the ability to track these things, you can't make any decisions on it at all. Well, first, do you have systems in place to capture that data? I had a client recently who had, and it never ceases to amaze me sometimes, the size of these companies who have no systems in place. And I will walk in and just be stunned that, there's nothing there. And I had a very huge international client, had zero systems. So we had to start from the basics. We chose a matter management system to start with. Being the spend management guy that's out there, and everybody knows me for that, I'm always the one to first say, start with matter, get your matter types in order, get how you're going to structure and organize your data together. It's super important in order to be able to pull those metrics out of you. It's the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. So you got to spend time and lay the foundations and get that in place. Then you can layer on your spend management. From a spend guy, for me, it's outside counsel spend. For me, those are the metrics where you're going to get probably the biggest bang for your buck, initially. So being able to track, hours, the roles and the responsibilities on the matters, and what those costs are, those are hugely important in order to be able to make some effective decisions that are cost cutting and cost effectiveness. Yeah, for one of the biggest things we see is people always giving it to the most expensive resources. There's no resource management. There's no workload management and tiered down. Why are 5 senior partners working on this particular matter? Why is that not going to junior associates and stuff who can do work? So being able to get in and see that on all of our matters and make decisions on which matters we're going to structure in which way, and having an opinion into that with the law firms. As much as the corporation used to give the corporate law department, here's money, go do your thing. The corporate law department did that with the law firms. We just hire the best, and they staff and they do their own thing, and we don't really question it. Can't do that anymore. If they're spending my money, I want to say how they're spending my money. Really, managing those resources within the law department as well as within the law firm, and how they're spending time on my matters is huge. So, for me, that's what I'm going to track first. Hourly rates to resource, that's number one. And then we can go from there. Yeah, because for me, it's always taxes. Being able to track the taxes on invoices, being able to farm out work to different countries that are more, tax friendly and more workforce friendly too. In Germany, you have very high taxes. You have a works council that you have to get through for a lot of things. There's oddball taxes all over the world. Italian pension tax on a legal invoice. Who knew that was going to be there? 0.5% on a Japanese invoice, so on and so forth. So, a lot of my clients don't even realize what they're paying for sometimes. And so being able to go in and track some of those things and help show them that, okay, just like here where we might tier it out across the country, there are other countries around the world where you can get just as good of results for a better price, and helping them kind of understand that. But we always come in. We never come into a situation in our corporate law department where they ask us to come in because, they just for the good of their heart or anything. There's always a problem that they need to resolve. So first is to start there. What are we coming in to solve for? And let's sit down and discuss what metrics we need to garner from that particular problem, and then we can work on the bigger piece of the pie after the fact. You're going to put us out of work, Maury, because this, as I keep referring to it, as the Bible, and anybody who wants to know anything about KPIs for the legal department, this really is, to me, the best place to start. It's laid out so simply, and it's very clear. It gives you some relevance and some history to why we track these, why they're important. So, if you can't afford to bring all these resources in to do these programs, start here. See what you have currently. If you have systems in place and stuff, see how you can get more out of those things. Have some realistic conversations internally as a department with the general counsel about what it is that, against a roadmap, against their whatever it is that they need to deliver to the board, whatever those things are, find out what those priorities are, and then map backwards into the KPIs. And you can use this book to do that. So you can go back and then say, okay, here are my 3 priorities for the general counsel. Here are ones that for me as a legal ops manager or something, and build backwards into these programs with what you have already, and find your holes. That's where you'll know what you need to do next. Is it a system? Is it making sure that my attorneys and everybody are actually putting in the data into the systems we have? That happens more than anything. They're not using the tools they have, or not using them properly. Maybe we create training programs. Maybe we create other ways to influence people to actually use the system so we can actually get the data we need. There has to be a buy-in within the department that this is value, that these are important to us, and why, and that needs to be articulated from the top.
Yeah.
Very much so. You can put as many systems in place as you want. If they're not implemented well or no one's using them, you're never going to get out what you need to actually make decisions. The only point of anything that we do is to get to metrics. It really is. The only reason we have e-billing systems or matter management systems or any of these things is to produce something out of it. Discovery system is going to produce something out for the court. Yeah, we want to produce things out. For the legal ops team inside the company, those are metrics. Because making decisions is what we're there to do. It's make better decisions that we can make today. And the only way you can do that is to know what's going on in your department. So, do I need to hire more people? Why has Bob got 50 matters and Amy has 1? Any of those kind of things, both internal and external, start with having knowledge. I've been preaching knowledge management and KPIs for 20 years of my career because I've just seen how effective it is. And I've seen what happens when somebody walks out the door with this huge amount of brain trust. You don't have that captured somewhere. How are you going to move forward, make decisions when that data goes away? So you've got to find a way to capture it and realize just how important it is.